I am Justin.
And I'm Brittany. We're the designers behind this apartment, and we're here to talk about why designers are turning to vintage. Hi, we are in Bed-Stuy at Sincerely Tommy. We're in Brooklyn, about 2 blocks from where I live with my family and my kids, and this is kind of our morning coffee spot. So today we're going to P.E. Guerin. P.E. Guerin has an incredible collection of vintage-inspired hardware. They are true artisans. They make everything in-house. They have amazing things. We're going to Christopher Cawley's gallery. He has a really eclectic collection of vintage that's absolutely fabulous. We're visiting Demisch Danant. They have a really aspirational collection of kind of futurist-leaning, just exquisite pieces. And then we're also going to be going to Galerie Gabriel. They have a really incredible collection of current artisans and makers, and also just like beautiful vintage pieces as well. So I'm here in the pattern room at P.E. Guerin, and they have this incredible, it's almost a cabinet of curiosities, collection of all of the patterns that they've had in their collection over the years. So 175 years worth of beautiful things. Oh my gosh.
And then here is the oil vessel, and then the burner, and then the hurricane part.
Yeah, the foot is like this.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Look at the talent.
This is the foot, and then there's the leg, which is...
I mean, I love vintage. I love it in all aspects of my life. I love vintage clothes. I love vintage design. I love old books. You know, I think that there's so much that can be learned from history. There's so many lessons to take away. I mean, coming in here even today, I cannot take my eyes off of the shelves over here. I just find it so inspiring. I think that so many remarkable things have been done throughout history, and it'd be a shame to kind of get rid of them. I think that vintage really adds texture to a project. It adds honesty to a project. It's something that feels very special, easily added to. You know, I think it welcomes the idea of collection and addition over time, which is very special. I mean, I love to come here and just browse. I mean, I can remember the first time that I came to P.E. Guerin. It was probably 12 years ago, and just being completely awestruck at how much they have here, how much they've adhered to history, how flexible they are, and working with you as a designer. But it is really, I mean, I could get lost in here. I love discovery, so there's just sort of limitless options here as a designer. It's like a candy store. So we're at Demisch Danant. We're on 12th Street in Manhattan. It's one of my absolute favorite galleries ever. They focused on post-war French design primarily, and we're here today. There's a retrospective on Maria Purgay's work, and I'm just a huge fan. So we're here to check it out. I mean, I have such a love of vintage for a number of reasons. First of all, I mean, we're in a field that there's so much that gets kind of tossed. And I think having something that is old and feels special, it contributes less to the garbage and more to the idea of keeping something and just kind of hanging on to it for life, handing it down to your children, particularly if you identify with the object or the designer. We are at Galerie Gabriel. It is in the Steinway Tower at 111 West 57th, still on the southern portion of Central Park. And this gallery was founded by Nancy Gabriel in 2019. And they just have a really incredible collection of contemporary artists and artisans and vintage furniture. We absolutely love shopping with them. They have incredible taste and really beautiful pieces. We're at Christopher Cawley's gallery in Chinatown, so downtown Manhattan, and he's a really incredible and very eclectic collection of many things from many places. So it's a really great stop to shop for accessories or like accent pieces for a residential job. So I was curious how you got into this because you have such an eclectic and interesting collection. How did this come about for you?
My grandparents on both sides. I grew up very close to them. I was the oldest, so I was kind of getting shuffled to my grandparents as a young kid.
Yeah.
So grandmother, great-grandmother, grandfathers, always around people who were from a whole different era. And they loved antiques, and their homes were very decorated. So always this fascination with the East, the Orient, as they say, in the antique business.
Yeah, yeah.
It just never left me.
You know, knowing the history just adds another layer to the story. I think that when you identify with an object or a piece, finding out that history is a really exciting part of that ownership. And it's nice to be able to share those stories with your family and friends that visit and so forth. I would say always add a little bit of vintage and always come to a place like this. I mean, the shopping day has been so much fun. This is my ideal day. Every time I go to a place like this, I find something that I think is beautiful, that I want to layer into a project, that I want to layer into my own home. It's always fascinating to hear the stories of the people that find these things. So I really highly recommend it. So this apartment, when we began work, we were, of course, smitten with the view, the architecture that's beyond. We really wanted to bring some of the outside in. And with the strong history in the building and in the lobby, we wanted to make sure that we had a lot of historical references, both in the furniture and in the vintage that we sourced for the project. So vintage played a really critical role in the job.
So for us, we wanted the entry vestibule to have a little bit of darkness and moodiness because the views, once you pass through the set of double doors, are so dramatic and unique. We wanted there to be compression and then this big pop to this wow moment beyond looking to Central Park. Here we have a pair of rare Jean Royer armchairs that are actually part of a larger suite. Incredible pieces of art we're lucky to have here, and they are from Galerie Gabriel. Here we have a pair of forged bronze Clute side tables that were actually the first thing that we purchased for this apartment. This is a 1980s vintage Murano table lamp by La Marina that was sourced from a cool shop in Slovenia that actually carries a lot of vintage Murano glass lamps.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the pieces in here and a lot of what we do and a lot of the reason that we use vintage is we love layering things. So even though we've been discussing that this apartment is very Art Deco inspired, we love the idea of layering in different eras, different locations. You know, it really does create a no-time project. We used vintage rugs throughout the entire apartment. All of the rugs in this apartment are vintage.
Yeah.
All the rugs in this apartment are vintage. And pretty much from the same period of time. Most of them are Deco era rugs. So the architecture of this building has a lot of Art Deco influence, and we really played on that with the custom pieces that we worked on and also with a lot of the vintage selection. So this is a vintage chair from the 20s, 30s. It's a designer unknown piece, but we also wanted to play to the fact that it's kind of sitting in front of a tremendous view. So the open arms were part of the decision-making process. We love the blue color. It plays a little bit with the sky, so it feels really kind of subtle and connected to the exterior.
All these little vintage and found object details add life to a space that we don't feel you can get by just purchasing from a catalog. For us, these elements have a history like embedded within them, and so we love making sure that we layer these things into our spaces. So we mix new and old, different eras, different time periods.
Thank you so much for joining us on this tour of this amazing place.
Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.